The Ink and Paint Club podcast is intended for mature audiences. These guys can't go about like 3 seconds without saying a swear, so, listener discretion is advised.
It seems like if you were fighting people, turning into a skeleton would be the last thing you would want to do.
No, because listen, if somebody fucking hits you and you're a skeleton and you fall apart, you just pull yourself back together.
Yeah, pull yourself back together like a cartoon.
Yeah, it's like
but
standard skeleton rules.
as long as you get to play your ribs like a xylophone, I guess.
Well,
that
yeah,
would be
listen, the moment you become a skeleton, you're required to, by law, to play your skeleton like a xylobones.
Skeleton.
It's skeleton law that anytime you move, a creepy xylophone starts playing.
Yeah.
It's skeleton law. And you'll be sent to skeleton court if you don't comply.
You're listening to the Ink and Paint Club podcast, a proud member of the Geekly Grind Podcast Network.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Ink and Paint Club podcast. My name is JD. I apologize for my and Kyle's absence last week, and Matt, I apologize for leaving you.
You better.
Alone.
Yeah, you apologize right now for everyone to hear.
Kyle and I were abducted by some foreign nationals. We have been living in a cave for the last week, but we broke out and now we are back.
That's what I heard. I heard that you guys had to go play a basketball game.
I don't do sports.
It didn't work out, and now we're all enslaved by aliens.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes. So I'm here. Kyle is here.
I'm back.
Matt's here.
A dinosaur
I am
story.
Yeah. Always make that joke too.
And you know him, you love him. Hey, look, everybody, Dustin's back.
Holy
Hey,
shit.
It's me, Dustin, and, it's like I always say, haters gonna hate.
Oh, boy.
They are, in fact, going to hate.
I wanted to bring up
That's
really
what this
quick.
whole episode is all about.
It's a fun coincidence because I didn't know Dustin was going to be on until just a little earlier. But today is actually the 3rd anniversary of when I met Kyle at all, and then when I met Dustin in person for the first time.
Holy shit,
Damn.
has it been that long?
It was 3 years ago. We went to that Pillows concert.
3 years ago was the Pillars concert? Holy
Yeah,
crap.
the Pillars.
The Pillars concert.
You saw a dead man.
Yeah.
Been
But yeah.
3 years since that Pillars concert.
So it's fun to have everyone together again, and also to have you along for.
JD.
Yes. You guys went to Disneyland without me.
That was
Sorry,
a whole nother day.
JD, if you
Here-
were there, I would have loved to have had you. It's just the way things worked out.
It's
Can I
your
just
fault.
hold
You live
that
in
here?
Ohio.
We're all here, and then JD, he's here too.
just put a little, just Photoshop me in. It's fine.
A
Yeah.
little asterisk.
Yeah.
We're going to have to go all around to a bunch of different movies and universes to get JD and everyone together.
I
Oh
know.
my
we
God.
gotta bring the whole team together. If you couldn't guess, we are talking about Space Jam 2: A New Legacy: Warner Brothers. Look at all the stuff we own. It came out over the weekend, and we're gonna talk about it. Look, I'm gonna just be upfront. I'm probably not gonna be as harsh on this movie as everybody else is, but I think the general consensus is this movie is not the best. Maybe does not live up to the legacy.
It could have been
It's
better.
a new legacy. It doesn't need to live up to the old legacy.
That's
I have
true.
I have some questions about said legacy and what it is that is not continuity. That I'm putting way too much thought into a children's movie. Okay, look, I'm gonna just be upfront. We could all agree that the original Space Jam is not a good movie, but it is a great movie.
It's a
Am I-
fun
am I-
movie.
Yeah.
I think about it, and it's like, do we consider Space Jam to be a classic movie because we were all children when we saw it?
I think so. It's cheesy and dumb. I would not call it a good movie, but it is a movie I think is a lot of fun and I enjoy it.
When
Yeah.
was the last time that you guys? Because I watched Space Jam last night, like before watching the new movie, just to get a good comparison point for it. It'd been a while since I watched the first movie, and I was.
Oh, go on.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I didn't remember. Like, you always you can remember a lot of stuff just from nostalgia alone. But like, I don't know, I kind of enjoyed a lot of the live action bits a lot more now, just because I have a better understanding of, like the actors and the athletes involved and stuff. So like,
Yeah,
I
Bill
don't know.
Murray was there.
Bill Murray was, and so that's one thing that this, as far as like the all-star cast, I mean, yeah, that first movie, it's got Michael Jordan, it's got Wayne Knight, it's got Bill Murray, it's got Charles Barkley, like, it's great. And then like you get to this movie, it's got like LeBron James, and then you get like you get Silverman and Steven Yeun and some fun cameos, but they're only there for like a bit.
Oh
Oscar
yeah,
nominee Steven Yeun.
Don Cheadle is, I love him in this movie though, because he's just fucking hamming it up for a
Don
paycheck. And I'm
Cheadle's
just like,
probably the best part of this movie.
he's fucking.
Yeah.
This is like, he's in at least 4 or 5 movies coming out this year, so he's making some fucking paper. Good for him. He's up for an Emmy for a guest spot on Falcon and Winter Soldier that only lasted 10 seconds. Like,
And
good
he's
for him.
just as confused as everybody else.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
But Matt, you were I think you were asking like when the last time we watched.
Well, because I know, like, for this podcast, Space Jam is one of your guys' like
yeah, that's
not-
real early.
was that like the last time you guys watched Space Jam?
I
Probably like 2014, 2015.
Yeah,
Wasn't
something like
it?
that.
yeah I
Oh.
so like I think it was for like the 20th anniversary or something. Like Fathom re-released it in the theaters for a night, and Melanie and I went and watched it.
Yeah, I saw it then too.
It
But-
was just really strange because like I was watching it and found myself I could pretty much quote that entire movie.
I like when Bugs goes, MJ, MJ.
Yeah,
That's a
Yeah.
classic scene.
yeah.
No, the last time I watched it, so the actual movie, the last time I saw it was then too, but then recently Cartoon Network did a special, Teen Titans Go see Space Jam, and I watched it then. But the thing about that is, they cut out a lot of scenes, and there's no
Yeah.
licensed music. It is not the best way if you actually want to watch the movie.
Dude, I was flipping channels when we were on vacation and that was playing, and I saw that they had a rolling butt shot counter.
Pretty good,
And
pretty
literally,
funny stuff.
Literally, anytime there were guns or smoking, they fast forward the movie while telling you why those are bad things.
Oh
Yeah,
my God.
Pretty funny.
Well, no, see, that's a funny thing too. Is that because there's guns in Space Jam too. But I remember for those Looney Tunes cartoons they did on HBO Max recently, there was like a mandate not to have Elmer or
Yeah.
Sam couldn't have their guns and stuff, right?
They just brought them back. They
Yeah, they
Yeah.
made
had,
a point to tell you that they're back.
yeah.
So weird.
I mean,
And
I'll say
also-
this: the Teen Titans Go see Space Jam was probably funnier than anything in Space Jam: A New Legacy.
I
So, I
don't
did
know
wanna
if
ask
I'd
about
agree with that, but
So Dustin, did you watch the whole thing?
All of Teen Titans Go or all of Space Jam 2?
No, all of Teen Titans Go
Both.
see Space Jam.
Yes, I did. I watched all. of it.
So the parts where they like omit parts of the movie, they actually do like just Teen Titans Go bits with like the nerd looks, right?
Well, I don't know if they like do those in place of scenes they cut, because I know there's a whole, the part near the beginning where Michael goes home and he talks with his family,
Yeah.
and that whole scene is cut. They just cut the shit with his family because who cares? And that's fine, but you also don't get like any of the music. And like they do this weird thing where since they don't show you the scene where you first meet his kids, later they show you the scene where they go get his stuff from his home later, and his kids are there, and they treat it like that's the first time you see them.
Yeah.
It
That's
doesn't.
super
It doesn't
weird.
work, but it was kind of entertaining. It was kind of fun.
yeah.
It's a very interesting concept for them to even do that, though. Like,
Yeah, I
whose
think the
idea that
idea.
was.
Well, I mean, hasn't Teen Titans Go basically just been like, what can we cross over with now?
Well, yeah, but this is them doing an entire like riff tracks on like a film. Like they hadn't done that yet. Like the other
And this is the
crossovers
first
are just
time-
like standard episodes. Like
And this is the first time the Nerdlocks have been seen since Space Jam.
Mhm.
It was
Don't they show up?
released.
yeah, and they show up in the new movie, but it's the only bit of reused animation.
There's
Yeah.
there's a lot of archive footage in this new movie.
Boy,
So-
it sure doesn't work when you have animation from the first movie that clashes not only with the 2D segments of this movie, but it was during a part where everyone in the scene is CG and they're the only CG ones.
I was gonna fucking bring that up.
This
That's so
movie's
weird.
a mess.
So Space Jam came out in 1996. Does that mean it was cell animated or was it
I'm pretty sure it was.
digital?
I'm not sure.
Well,
I would
you're the
have
one
to
that
look
hunts for
into it.
cells, Kyle. You never seen any cells for Space
only-
Jam going around?
I've only seen production drawings, but looking at how the characters are drawn and stuff and how they're shaded, I think it is digital.
I think so too. That sounds about right.
I really believe
Because
that.
I was reading about that turtle girl it posted,
Oh,
and I guess it was a like a random.
Yeah, it's a randomizer. That's why
Generator.
so many of them are like mismatched, and there's like multiple copies of all of them in the crowd.
yeah. That was something I never noticed at all until I rewatched Space Jam last night.
Brought
Was
it up
that,
in Teen Titans Go. They brought it up in the
did
Teen Titans Go one. They're like, "Oh, my favorite Looney Tune character, turtle body girl head."
No, that character stuck out to me like a sore thumb as a kid. I didn't know what the fuck that was about, but now I remember at this time that was kind of like big new technology because I think Mulan was using it for like the big army scene.
sure.
That was something that they used in like a lot of the media spots. Like, oh yeah, we're doing this.
Interesting. I guess it worked out a lot better in Mulan than it did in Space Jam.
Yeah.
Well, also just because it's way more stylized, I guess. With Space
Yeah.
Jam, you're just taking all the. Well, anyway, yeah, we already talked about it.
Yeah.
Although, Kyle, since you did bring up 1996, I did want to talk about kind of the path that it took to get to Space Jam 2.
Yeah, this movie's been a long time coming.
Yeah, because they wanted to do a sequel like as soon as this movie got out, but with Michael Jordan not wanting to do a sequel, they just pretty much canned it. But they were workshopping a bunch of other ideas. The original one that they were trying to do was something called Spy Jam, which would have had Jackie Chan,
Yeah.
and then the other ones they were workshopping were Race Jam with Jeff Gordon, Golf Jam with Tiger Woods, and the one that I really wish would have
I
happened was
wanted
fucking
the Tony Hawk
State
one.
Jam with fucking Tony Hawk.
I have
That would've
no
been great.
idea how that was meant to work.
That would have been the fucking greatest time capsule ever, more than Space Jam. Fucking, you imagine the soundtrack on that thing alone would have been amazing.
It just would have been Pro Skater in a movie form.
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, see, I have no idea how you can make a movie out of that, but I would be down to see it.
How do you make a movie out of doing basketball with Michael Jordan?
Well, you know, basketball is a game. I guess skateboarding. When I think skateboarding, I just think doing it.
They
No,
already
they have
made
shit-
that.
Yes.
They, have,
They
like,
already
X
made
Games
that
and stuff.
movie. Yeah,
Oh, that's
they already
true.
made that movie. It's called an extremely goofy movie.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
But then, yeah, of course, they eventually ended up with Looney Tunes Back in Action in 2003, which I
guess-
still never seen. Is that movie any
I'll
good?
maintain that's a fun movie.
It's an alright movie. Brendan Fraser makes up for it.
Yeah.
He's great in everything. I'm glad he's making a resurgence.
Yeah. But so I feel like I heard about them making a Space Jam sequel with LeBron James like years ago. Like this has been like in the works for almost 10 years, I feel like.
They announced that they were doing a sequel and then that LeBron James was involved in February of 2014.
Oh wow.
So it was quite a while back, yeah.
Remember reading articles where they're like, yeah, Jim Carrey's reprising the role as the Mask, and there's going to be the Wicked Witch of the West, and like all this stuff. You guys
So-
remember reading articles like
'cause
that?
Yeah, because I feel like originally the story coming out was like the bad team was going to be a bunch of villains from bunch of different Warner Brothers properties. And honestly, I feel like there's a lot of story beats that was like told to us ahead of time that were ultimately changed. Because I remember something about Don Cheadle basically wanting to take over LeBron's Instagram account being a plot point, and that's
Right.
like nowhere in the movie. So
Yeah, and there was supposed to be some presence of Pepe Le Pew and Penelope, and I guess that stuff, if it didn't get
So,
outright animated and cut, like it just didn't make it all the way
I
to the
think
movie
got
or something.
canceled.
when he's walking around in the Toon World, Paris is shown multiple times throughout the movie. They show the Eiffel Tower and everything.
Hey,
that was-
guys, I
Yeah.
hate to ask, but can we? My internet went out.
Oh no.
Uh-oh. Put a pin in it.
Wait, should we keep Audacity rolling?
Rolling. Everything's recording. I can.
Hey,
Okay.
sorry, it's back.
Hooray!
Now it's back. I was recording the whole time.
Oh, okay,
Hooray.
cool. Okay,
Now
so
it's back
And
in
Craig will just
HUD
cut back
form.
in where it is.
Okay,
so
so-
it's fine.
so all the recording is still on track. Nobody hit pause or anything.
Oh,
No.
Okay, cool.
Cool.
All right. So we were just talking about so Paris shows up a bunch, but Pepe Le Pew and Penelope are nowhere in the movie.
right.
Yeah.
Because
And-
everybody was like, Pepe's cut, but Penelope's going to be heavily featured. And I swear there was a bunch of art of her
Yeah.
in that new
There's a
costume.
lot of early promo art.
I mean, not really matters because, look, I think one of my biggest complaints about this movie, and like, I probably in the minority here. Well, I thought this movie was okay.
I'm with you
totally
there,
hate it.
JD. I thought it was
Like,
okay.
I had fun with this movie. I will say that much. I had fun.
Yeah.
It might have helped that I was in a theater full of like 7-year-olds, but um,
You know what? I want to take a moment here. I'm going to call out my roommates because we have some free tickets that I got from like we went to go see Mortal Kombat like a month ago, and like they accidentally sold our seats. Even though we bought ours like a week ahead. And so I got some free tickets that expired like later this month. And I was like intending for some of those tickets to go see Space Jam. And they didn't want to go fucking see with me. So I had to watch on HBO Max. So fuck them.
Oh. Yeah,
So
let's go around and say like what we all thought of the movie. I guess JD just went. He said it was okay.
yeah, I thought it was all right. It was fun. I enjoyed myself. I have many problems with it, but please, somebody else go.
Kyle.
Saw it on HBO Max, and I wouldn't say that I hated it, but I have a strong distaste for it.
That's a good summation. Dustin.
I really hate to be the most negative one. I watched it on HBO Max as well. I almost saw it in theaters with roommates, but no one wanted to, so we watched it on HBO Max. I thought it was one of the worst movies I've ever seen. I hated it so much. I hated everything about it. And the more I think about it, the more I hate it.
Jeez.
That's kind of how I feel about Wreck-It Ralph 2, too. I feel like the more I think about that movie, the less I like it. But at least that started in a spot where I liked it to begin with.
No.
So there's
This,
nothing.
I hated it to begin with.
Oh, wow.
I was
okay.
at work. I was at work doing my job, and I'm just like, God, and then this happened. Fuck that. It's like, so
Yeah.
you're right. The more you think about it, you just fucking hate it more.
There's so many little things that really build up that I just hate, and I can't stand it. And I think my biggest problem with it is, I don't know if it's just me, maybe it is. It felt like whoever wrote this movie did not understand the Looney Tunes. Everyone felt out of character and wrong.
Dude, like I said, my biggest complaint with this movie is the Looney Tunes feel superfluous to the plot. Like, there's no
Yeah.
reason for them to be here.
Yeah, there really isn't. I would have liked it more if they did like Hanna-Barbera. Because the thing with
Spider-
Looney Tunes is, if it's Looney Tunes, then it's something awesome that's just being done badly. But if it was Hanna-Barbera, it would be something that sucks to begin with, but it's in this bizarre as shit idea. I think it could wrap around and be amazing.
Well, I mean, they're trying to establish that Hanna-Barbera share a universe with Scoob, right? So
Yeah.
you could be seeing something like that sooner or later.
Oh my
Yeah.
great. Can't
writer-
wait.
The writer didn't understand the Looney Tunes to write them, or technology, which the whole movie is based around.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
say what you
I
will
will-
about the first Space Jam. I feel like the people who wrote the first Space Jam at least had some understanding how the Looney Tunes should act. You know, not like perfectly
Yeah.
at all times. But it felt like they had a better grasp on them here, and especially in Back in Action, than anything in this. It's baffling.
Matt, what did you think?
That was okay. Yeah, I watched. I watched on HBO Max. I of course, I'd seen everyone complaining about it, like fucking just tons of people. I don't think I heard a single good thing about it before watching it, and I watched it, and I'm just like, it's fine. It's I had a bit of fun with it. It's not a fucking perfect movie by any means. I think Space Jam 1 probably is better, but
It's kind of like the opposite of someone building something up for you. You hear about how bad it is, and then you watch it, and you're like, oh well, that wasn't as bad as
yeah,
I imagined
exactly.
it.
But I get it. Like, I understand why people would have these specific problems with the movie, and I don't know, it's just stuff that doesn't like exactly stick out to me as being. They're not like huge problems to me, but like I can see why you would have those that you would have it out for it like that.
Right.
It's perfectly valid and understandable.
You know that picture? You know that reaction GIF where it says, "I expected nothing, and yet I was still let down."
Right,
Yeah.
with the Dewey. Yeah,
I've never related more to it than I have with this.
I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
so
Like I went in expecting it to not be good, but I thought it would at least be a fun, not very good. It's nothing.
So we did bring up like how they didn't understand technology or any of that, but like just for anyone that might be listening to this show that doesn't know what Space Jam, the original or the new one is, just as a quick like sort of summary. The first movie is aliens are trying to take over or trying to abduct the Looney Tunes to serve as entertainment on their home world, and they get challenged to a game of basketball to keep them, their autonomy, and they enlist Michael Jordan, and that's where the movie takes off from. And so you'd think that for the sequel, like it would follow some similar like plot thread, but for the sequel, it's basically LeBron James is not a good dad, and Don Cheadle is algorithm for algorithm, and he is a computer for Warner Brothers, and he makes this pitch to LeBron, who rejects it on means that make absolutely no sense to how it's outlined. We're talking about this
James
a little bit.
is not a sellout.
Yeah, but he's also not a smart man either, because it's a whole thing where it's like, fucking, we're gonna put you in all these movies and all these everything else, and like you don't even need to be there. We're gonna digitize you. And he's like, I don't know, that sounds like a lot of work, and I have a family, and like it makes no sense. Anyway, so basically from there,
Matt, in fairness, it's not that he wants to focus on his family. He wants to focus on the game.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. But yeah, they fucking so LeBron and his son, who is a video game programmer, get abducted.
Okay, he's not just a programmer; he's a fucking prodigy, apparently.
Yeah, apparently, because he's made one game.
He wants to go to E3 camp.
I'm sorry,
Which exists, I guess.
He made NBA Jam again. Like, is that really like?
Jan, been there, done that.
Bro, did you see some of the technology of this kid? He just has like fucking full 3D scanning and like auto rigging in his phone.
Yeah.
Like, what technology is this child sitting on?
But basically, the whole movie amounts to just a bunch of Warner Brothers self-wankery. If you didn't garner that from what we talked about so far, it's them flexing how many properties and companies they own, and it's just basically they made the whole movie around getting like all these characters to show up, like you know how when we talked about Wreck-It Ralph 2, where like they basically wanted to do a scene where they had all the Disney princesses together for a scene, and they built a movie around that. Well, they built fucking Space Jam: A New Legacy around getting the crowd shot with like all the live action and cartoon characters, like in big ass shot.
The crowd from this from the stadium or whatever will be analyzed for years to find every reference in there.
One of my favorite things in this whole movie is that everyone in the crowd goes absolutely apeshit, even when the players aren't doing anything.
Yeah, like they clearly didn't have any consistent direction.
The jams are pumped, man. You heard the song.
They're like, yes! I love when they sit around talking.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Just one little quick aside on the crowd. This is only something that because I was in a theater full of children, when Pennywise the Clown from It showed up, nearly every child had to scream out Pennywise.
Wow.
And I was very disturbed by this.
Those kids are too young to have been watching it.
No, yeah,
So-
that's like they were way too familiar with this character and way too excited about it. And they're like,
How'd those
"You're 7."
how'd those kids feel about Big Chungus?
Oh yeah.
I laughed
Fucking-
at Big Chungus.
Unfortunately, that's one of the highlights of the movie.
Well, at least they didn't like do the because what was it? They have like a Looney Tunes mobile game and they put Big Chungus in there, right?
Yeah.
Did they actually
Yeah.
say Big Chungus?
It's
I think
called
he
Big
actually is
Chungus.
called Big Chungus. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
It's his
that's
official
so weird.
name. It's
Someone-
beautiful.
Someone was like, I wonder what, because the original meme was like a PS4 game, and it says Big Chungus or something.
Yeah.
Featuring
And-
Dante from the Devil May Cry series.
Yeah, and someone was like, I wonder how the guy feels that he made this meme and it's in all this shit. So they actually took his like reaction to it being in Space Jam.
Oh,
And he was
man.
just like, holy shit, this is
That's awesome.
fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I imagine it's
Yep.
similar to like the reaction from whoever must have drawn like the troll face like for the first
Yeah.
time and just seeing how that fucking ballooned out of control or like any other memes nowadays. Like
Seeing the face in Powerpuff Girls 2016,
no bueno.
they
or-
must have loved it.
They what was it? Someone had brought up the Sonic thing from the
oh
new Sonic
Oh,
movie.
yeah.
That's basically the same thing.
Yeah. I'm fine with them acknowledging memes. It's just I don't know, it doesn't bother me, but at the same time something about Big Chungus works for me as a meme.
I thought it was funny.
well,
I
I
guess
mean,
I just
because it is
I
this
like
weird
Big
scene
Chunk-
from this old cartoon.
I like Big Chungus because it's so stupid.
Yeah.
Like
It's
it
just
is
a
such
stupid
nothing
thing from a
meme, that's
cartoon
why
from
it's
the
funny.
40s. Yeah.
well, the other thing you have to take into consideration too is that Big Chungus is probably the most relevance Looney Tunes has had to anybody like in recent memory. Like,
That's true.
of course they're gonna fucking throw it in there.
Oh, man.
It's not
So-
like it's not as weird as like throwing like fucking wholesale Rick and Morty in there, voiced by Justin Roiland for
God.
like
Oh
a
my
10-second
god.
scene.
So
that was pretty epic.
I feel really bad because the fucking internet spoiled that the day the movie came out. And like I saw someone posted like a shitty screen recording of the scene. Like, well, that would have been funny to see in the like, for the first time, but whatever.
Yeah.
I was laughing because it was so out of character for Rick because he says "dum dum," and that's like not something he would ever say.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but it's in a kids movie. He can't say swear words.
Fucking
can't
Don
say
Cheadle says
suck-
it's swear and he
suck
just
dick,
censors
dumb shit.
himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
Could have just done that.
I thought it was funny, but
You know
But,
what? I feel like Pennywise really would watch a basketball game and cheer for the Looney Tunes.
maybe.
I'm starting to think about it now. I think the kids probably knew who Pennywise was just from probably memes. I think that's how
Yeah.
anyone. Because if you look into like all the characters that feature in some of these cameo shots, like there's nobody that's gonna know. Like what fucking kid knows like the
A
Drooge
Clockwork
from
Orange.
A Clockwork Orange or the Nun from The Devils, which is like a 1970 movie. Fucking, I don't think kids are gonna know what the fucking Gremlins are. Tony Soprano, fucking, just like there's a whole list of like these cameos that like who the fuck's gonna even notice or pick these out? Like
The Animaniacs are there, and I don't know, that
few
doesn't
times.
feel right. It feels weird that the Animaniacs are just like a blink and you miss it cameo, and they're blurry at all times. Don't they feel like ones that should be like a bigger deal?
yeah, they
yeah,
should be,
especially
like,
with
right
the renewed like interest in them because of the Hulu show.
Yeah.
Well, it's weird because I feel like with the crowd shot and listeners, I apologize for harping on this for so long, but I feel like
The movie harps on it for so long.
Yeah.
I did spend a lot more time looking at the crowd and trying to pick out characters than I did actually watching a lot of the foreground animation.
Oh my
but-
god. The actual baseball game in this movie, through in one ear and out the other.
The
Yeah.
biggest ball game.
What I was gonna say is like I thought it was weird that all of the live action actors are like up front and center on the side of the court, but all the animated characters are sitting up on the hill. So it's like you
Yeah.
can barely see any of them. So it's
The
like
Jetsons look fucking gigantic. If you
Yeah.
compare them to like the live action people in the foreground, the Jetsons are humongous.
Well, clearly you haven't heard of the theory of the bigger George.
They all the costumes look like just shitty cosplay and
No,
extras.
there's Spirit Halloween. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm glad
It
someone
looks so
cosplaying the
bad.
mask is here to watch this basketball game.
wearing a referee outfit for no reason. I don't know if you guys noticed that. He was wearing black and white stripes or something.
I
I
didn't.
did not notice that.
And he was right next to the penguin, Danny DeVito penguin, and it looked so fucking awful.
Yeah, you can. I hear. I didn't really pay attention to it, but I hear you can see like the bald cap.
yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. I
Oh,
kind of
boy.
get why they would do that the way that they did, though, because clearly they want to record like LeBron like on the court with like all the live action actors, and then it's easier just to animate all the characters around LeBron and then all the characters up behind the live action crowd. Like that makes
Mhm.
sense to me from a production standpoint.
I guess so. Yeah, it helps the Looney Tunes stand out more.
Yeah,
I feel like that would have been a little bit better if they didn't show that in every piece of media, the crowd shot. Like it
Yeah.
would have been a little surprising at least. But that was like what we said. They based the whole fucking movie around this one little scene. Because that
Space
basketball
Ghost is
game
there.
was so small.
The
you know what's so
basketball game-
weird about it? The thing that's weird about it too. Sorry, Dustin, because I'm gonna
No,
bring up
go
something
ahead.
that you bring up something that you said, because you said the fucking actual basketball game like one in year out the other. The fucking basketball game lasts longer here than it ever does in the original Space Jam.
and it
It is the-
feels like nothing happens in it.
Yeah,
Well,
I don't know what I think part of it is there's zero build up to this other team. The Goon Squad comes out like
Oh.
right then. Like I totally missed the part that they were meant to be like based off like LeBron's old teammates because that never comes through in their designs. And they introduce you. One thing about the first movie is you have a lot of time with the Nerd Lux and the Monstars. So it builds it up. You know these characters before you get to the actual game.
Mhm.
Here, it's just like, here's a snake person, here's a bird, here you go. Look how
Yeah.
badass they are, and how
Well-
much better they are than the Looney Tunes.
not only that, but you spend a lot more time with the players that the Nerdlux steal the abilities from too. There are there's a whole ass sequence in Space Jam 1 where they're playing like, you know, Basketball Jones and it's focusing on all the players like and how it sucks that they don't have their talent anymore. Whereas in this one it's like it's fucking see the characters like they're playing like a charity game for the NBA or something, and like fucking Dom goes to scan all the models and stuff, and then like he's just mixing and matching with like some animals that he did some scans of
Uh-huh.
earlier. So like they
Yeah.
spend considerably less time with it, and like
The more I think about it, the more I think about what the first movie does that this one doesn't. It's incredible. The first Space Jam isn't even like that good, but I think it's like light years ahead of this one.
The original
See,
had-
this one.
Sorry, go ahead, Kyle.
Well, this one had King Kong in it, and he said, "King Kong don't have nothing on me." And then
And-
King Kong goes, "That's mean," and looks away.
And then
that's-
everyone in the
right.
cloud laughs and they say, I know what that is.
and it's like they had to censor that quote too. Why even include it? It's King Kong ain't got shit on me. It doesn't sound as impactful saying it like weird censored. Like
Yeah.
No,
Although-
he said that what is it, Miami? That show with that fucking actor. Can't think of it now. I'll remember it.
We'll
right.
come back to you.
Well, speaking of quotes, how about some they got some real bangers in this one, like haters gonna hate and
oh my god.
you mad bro, and let's break the internet. And I'm sure there's some other ones in there too. Those are just the
My
ones I
favorite
wrote
part-
down.
My favorite part is when Daffy says, "Well, that happened." That's
Oh,
just
that
such a
too.
That's just such a classic Daffy line, and it really
So-
ties into his character.
Here's the thing that bothered me. With Daffy Duck, when everybody's doing that fucking Treehouse of Horror 2D to 3D kind of bullshit, there's no build up for him being a coach or anything.
No, he
He's
says
normal.
earlier in the movie that he'll be the coach.
Does
He
he?
says, "I call
Yeah.
coach."
It's right
Oh.
after they're leaving the Tim, like the Bruce Timm DC universe.
So,
As soon as he morphs into it, he's wearing a suit, and I found that so fucking weird.
I want to talk about the whole Looney Tunes turning CG. There is no reason for it. Like
Yeah.
so like Don Cheadle turns them into CG characters rather than their 2D versions. Okay, fine. It is initially treated as this horrifying experience for the characters because like, oh, like what the fuck? We've never been in 3D before in this universe. Okay, cool. It is immediately like they're totally cool with it. It's fine. Don't worry about it. And then they get turned back into 2D by the end of the movie. So it's like other than the fact that it probably saved them money because it's easier to do 3D. There's no reason that the Looney Tunes need to be 3D.
I don't even think it would have been cheaper to keep them CG because I don't necessarily think the 2D animation in this movie is very good.
I actually was gonna disagree because I honestly think I think the original has a lot more personality and depth to it, but I did think the 2D animated sequences sequences in this I thought were some more of my favorite parts of the movie.
Oh, they're definitely the best parts of the movie. And I don't even think the 2D parts are like bad. I think they're fine. It's just it doesn't really strike me as like theatrical animation. I feel like I'm watching like a commercial.
Yeah.
Like a Geico commercial with Looney Tunes.
So like I see a lot of Warner Brother animations like direct-to-video stuff, and it seemed like it was probably that team, but with a little extra money to it. Because like they have a lot of movement, a lot of subtle movement, a lot of like squash and stretch and stuff. Like I like the way they animated LeBron in this. So, but I get what you mean. Like, just the way the Looney Tunes were animated in the original one, just the way that they shaded it and all that stuff.
It feels like a movie in the original Space Jam. And here, like, I hate to sound mean because I don't even think the animation here is bad. It works. It just doesn't feel like it's a Looney Tunes movie. I just watched Looney Tunes Back in Action earlier today. The animation in that is incredible. But
and to speak to that, Dustin, is like, again, there is no reason for the Looney Tunes to be in this movie. Like, they serve no narrative purpose.
Yeah, like, Don Cheadle, Algae Rhythm says he says, I'll send LeBron to the rejects. And he sends him to the Looney Tunes, despite Hanna-Barbera also being in this movie.
Yeah, really? I didn't stop to consider that.
Yeah. Well, I get it because, like, and this is never really explained why he does this. It's almost like he planned all this from the beginning, but it's never really explained. He
did because he sends them away, he calls them rejects, and then he wants to delete them as well. But none of that's explained.
No motivation. Yeah, there's no motivation for it.
Yeah, because it's like, I get it. He's to the rejects. He's sending them to Looney Tunes World because Bugs is the only one that's still there. So how is he going to recruit a team if he's got one person? But then it's like Bugs say like, oh, Al came way earlier and sent them all away. And it's like, why? Unless he knew that this was going to happen. But like, the beginning of this movie shows that Al was not originally trying to fuck over LeBron James. He was just trying to team up with him to do this.
Nothing about this movie adds up at all. Every single part of this movie doesn't work.
Jeremy Snow here, owner and editor-in-chief of The Geekly Grind. I'm interrupting your awesome, regularly scheduled programming to ensure that you know about our Geekly Grind podcast network, of which this show is a treasured member of. If you haven't had a chance to check out our site, you can do so at www.thegeeklygrind.com, and while you're there, check out the other members of our steadily growing podcast family, including the anime-centric Blake and Spencer Get Jumped, discovering new heroes and comic book keepers with Chris and Lance, exploring the vast universe of geekdom with Geeksploration, or of course appreciating animation's finer details with the Ink and Paint Club. Escape your weekly grind at the Geekly Grind.
And I just want to say that fucking Warner Brothers apparently is sitting on some like self-aware artificial intelligence and is using it to develop new franchises. And I'm like, Warner Brothers, you've made self-aware technology. Like,
you don't have to make movies anymore.
You can. essentially control the world now. Why are you? I don't know.
Disney don't got shit on this.
Yeah. Well, they got Ralph. He's self-aware, I guess.
Did you guys enjoy the Notorious P.I.G.?
Oh my!
No.
Okay.
I don't want to say this, but I feel like it needs to. I feel like there's a certain demographic that this movie is kind of marketed to, and I feel like an executive was like, "Hey, you know what? We should
Yeah.
add in that rap scene
Yeah, it was
because that'll
marketed
appeal to
to.
them more."
Yeah.
It was marketed to Looney Tunes fans. Is
So-
what I'm sure you meant.
Well,
Of
no,
course.
I think Kyle has that has a valid point there, because the
Mhm.
reason why the original Space Jam even exists is because of like the whole they had that commercial with like Bugs and Jordan playing ball, but like even before that they had all these like clothing collaborations of like the Looney Tunes wearing like baggy clothing and like and like
Extra
rap
Looney
videos.
Tunes.
Yeah, exactly. That was what led to Space Jam in the first place. So I get the thought process of wanting to throw something like that in this movie. It just is not good.
I
Dude,
feel
okay.
like it's a super cynical thing that they should have done in a sense.
It's just like, going up to about a week or two before this movie came out, I was like, okay, it doesn't look the best, but I still think it'll be fun. I still kind of maintain that. But then they put a clip of the rap battle scene online like a week before the movie came out, and I'm like, oh god, no.
I
No.
couldn't even
That-
bring myself to watch it then. I needed to see in context how bad it would be in the movie, and it was as bad as it might even have been worse than I expected.
I watched the clip, so I knew it was coming in this movie, and I still hate it. It just still feels the worst.
And it comes out of pretty much nowhere.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, like, the whole basketball game makes no sense. Like, I get it that, like,
It's a
okay,
video game.
this kid built this video game that's NBA Jam basically, and there's power ups and you get style points and whatever. But it comes off as just like nonsensical. Like, nothing makes sense, nothing matters. I mean, by the halftime, fucking they're up like 1,000 something to 30, for no real reason.
Yeah.
Like
None of
LeBron's
this
doing
game
his-
matters.
Yeah, the game ultimately doesn't matter.
It's
Yeah.
like watching Futurama where Fry gets to the 31st century and they're watching Blurns Ball, and it's just like the weirdest shit ever.
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah,
It's
That's why
exactly how I felt.
That's why it feels like the game goes in one ear and out the other. It's like they bring in all these video game rules, and it's just like, okay, well, who cares anymore?
I mean,
They can just do whatever the fuck.
Well, because the reason I like the original game is because it is traditional basketball, but it is given a twist with the introduction of the Looney Tunes and the Monstars. And this,
Right.
the game is already nonsensical to begin with, and like none of the characters know the rules to this game, so things are just happening at random, and even the audience
Mhm.
probably can't follow along with it.
It's
Yeah,
a
so it was
mess. It's an
it was
absolute
much-
mess.
much simpler when everything was just operating on cartoon logic in the original than to here where it's operating on cartoon and video game logic, and it just gets lost in the shuffle.
One
It's like-
That's why. Go on.
I was gonna say one part about it that I only just now thought about is so the enemies are these like badass humanoid CGI monsters, and I feel like that kind of nerfs the Looney Tunes a little bit, because like in the first half, LeBron's like, you gotta play real basketball, you can't be loony. But then in the second half, they're like, no, now we're gonna bring the loony. But it doesn't feel like they really do, because the other team is so like, I don't want to say realistic, but they're more realistic than the Monstars, so you don't get like loony reactions to the Looney Tunes being loony. You don't. It just feels so not
The
right.
only thing that happens is the time guy turns old. That's like the
Yeah.
only really gag centric thing. But
There's Gossamer absorbing the water guy, but that's done in like a second.
Yeah, or
It's-
like,
it's
the
like-
spider chick wrapping up Sylvester in the web.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing is I really hate that they just picked a random assortment like Gossamer for whatever reason is on their team,
They
and
needed some muscle.
it's fucking weird. I feel like the only reason he's there is because he's gonna look awesome in CG and they can do cool fur effects. I feel
Yeah.
like that's the only reason he's on there.
Well, and
But, like-
they have a full team, but like there's a couple characters that don't do anything. Like Speedy is brought onto the team and like has reactions to things, but he's never on the court doing anything.
Oh, actually, now that you bring
Like-
up Speedy, so okay, sorry, I just quick aside from whatever quick aside we're taking. As far as like the billing for this movie, you know how it's like LeBron James, Don Cheadle, and Zendaya as Lola Bunny, and then they don't credit any other voice actor.
Yeah.
Fucking Gabriel Iglesias voices Speedy Gonzalez in this, and he doesn't even get billing.
Actually, and it's something I wanted to kind of give the movie credit for is after they do the opening, like during the opening credits, they actually do credit Jeff Bergman and Eric Bauza.
That's good. I
Which
feel like
is-
the voice cast for the Looney Tunes did a pretty good job. They always
And
seem
okay,
to.
so and this is something I found very confusing is that Bob Bergen, who is notorious
Mhm.
for doing Porky's voice,
I know
is not
exactly.
playing Porky in this movie.
But he's Tweety.
He's
Yeah.
Tweety
So
still,
it's-
but Eric took over Porky's voice.
Yeah, it's. I have no problem with like mixing things up with the voices for Looney Tunes. They do it all the time, but it's very weird that you still have him around for Tweety, but not Porky.
Right.
Yeah, super
very
weird.
strange.
Well, I don't know. I guess it's not as weird as like they had Frank Welker as Scooby Doo in Scoob, but not Fred, even though he's voiced Fred since the original show.
Well,
yeah.
in that case, I understood because
Because
they
it's
wanted
all
to
recontextualized,
yeah,
yeah.
celebrities, so
All of
Just
the
in-
Mystery Inc. gang. were-
in a similar vein.
Mhm.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh boy, this movie. There's so much to talk about. How nothing happens.
Like Elmer is on the team. I think he only gets one line, and then
He's in
another
Austin
line for
Powers.
Austin
Remember?
Powers.
Oh, okay. Wait. So can we talk about that really quick? Is
Oh yeah,
that
we
whole
totally
scene
we
where-
didn't even go into that.
Yeah, there's the whole scene where fucking LeBron and Bugs are like traveling to all these different like movie universes to pick up all the Looney Tunes, the Toon Squad, and like so I wrote it all down here so I wouldn't forget. But they fucking pick up Daffy and Porky in the DC world, which is based on the specifically the Bruce Timm verse.
I did appreciate that it was Bruce Timm DC.
Yeah.
like that
See,
was cool.
What bothers me is they go through this Kingdom Hearts thing where they're like, "Oh, we're gonna look like different shit," but they look the same. They could have had Bruce Timm, LeBron, and Bugs Bunny, and like
Yeah,
Daffy and
I
Porky.
did think that was kind of
They
weird.
didn't do that.
Why is LeBron Looney Tunes themed in Looney Tunes Land, and then he just looks like that for the rest?
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, because the rest of them are all like live action, right? Because okay, you got Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote.
Casablanca.
Yeah, you got what was it? Yosemite Sam and Casablanca. You got Roadrunner, Wile E. Coyote for Mad Max Fury Road. Elmer Fudd and Sylvester and Austin Powers.
I did think
Granny-
Sylvester as Mr. Bigglesworth was funny.
That was Foghorn Leghorn and fucking Game of Thrones. Granny and Speedy in the Matrix, and then Lola has this extended sequence where she's like in a Wonder Woman comic book. So it's not the Timverse stuff.
Yeah, it's
that we
not.
just saw earlier.
It doesn't make any sense. This movie doesn't follow its own rules ever.
Yeah.
But it's kind of interesting in that regard that they have a separate animated DC world and a comics DC world because Warner Brothers owns both of them. So
Yeah.
I did think it was an interesting stylistic choice that they said, okay, Lola is hanging out in comic book DC. And I also appreciate that they got Rosario Dawson back to voice Wonder Woman because she's been basically doing the animated Wonder Woman for a couple years now.
I had no
I
idea
did-
that she
I did think that scene, the Wonder Woman scene, is very well animated. I think that
Yep.
looks very cool.
Mhm.
Yeah, having that stylized, like the thick outlines, like the dropping in from panels and that sort of thing. Like,
Yeah,
look
it's-
neat.
Yeah,
And then they're on what is it, Amazonia, and there's two males out in the open, and
Yeah.
nobody goes for
Amber
them.
just gives them a dirty look, and then they don't just immediately try to murder them.
Yeah. Oof.
Yeah, I don't want to say this movie had nothing good in it, but
Here are
Oh,
three
okay.
things that I liked about this movie. I'm just going to list three.
Okay.
There's a joke where Marvin the Martian has his ray gun out and he's going through all the different rays, like disintegrator ray and shrinking ray, and he passes by the Charles ray. There is there's a bit where I think they're in halftime and everyone's getting mad at LeBron, and Yosemite Sam says, try coaching us better, Bucko, but to my ear it sounded like try coaching us better, fucko.
I heard that so many times. They say Bucko like a few times in this movie, I think, and I always hear fucko.
Yeah, because specifically with Sam saying it, but that one gave me a big laugh just because I misheard it. The other one was I did think it was funny when they made this whole big production that they were leading up to Michael Jordan showing up, and it turned out to be Michael B. Jordan.
I think that's the one big laugh I got from this movie.
Yeah, like, that was a legitimately good gag.
Yeah. And I like that it's followed up with, if you look at Daffy's clipboard, it says, trade Sylvester.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
So at least two things I liked were right
that.
next to each other. Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing I liked, I actually like that they gave the Roadrunner and Coyote more screen time in this one than in the first one.
They had
Coyote
a lot of
has
screen
some-
time.
I appreciate that. I've always been a big Roadrunner and Coyote fan, and Coyote has some scenes in the first one. Not so much Roadrunner, but this one they both have like a lot, and I like that a lot. And I feel like they're some of the only Looney Tunes that feel right because they don't talk.
Yeah.
And I feel like some of the gags that they give them just feel very in character. Like the fact that like Wile E. pulls out the multiplier, and the way to get the button to go rapidly is to put birdseed down on the button, have Roadrunner hit his head against it 1,000 times.
Yeah, that
like,
works.
yeah, that makes sense. And then he gets sucked into the machine, and 1 million copies come out, and it's like, okay, that feels like something would happen in an actual cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
That whole bit with their goon squad, that Kronos guy shows up and like does this whole slow-mo sequence, like ties up the Roadrunner, presents on a platter for Wile E, and then just like this slow motion realization of what's happening, and the meeps coming from the Roadrunner, like like the Doppler effect, like meep, like that did make me laugh.
Yeah, it's not all bad. I just feel like it's mostly bad.
Yeah, it's just that there are individual moments of, I don't want to say brilliance, but there are individual moments of good here and there.
Yeah.
Being inspired. An inspired choice.
Yes.
So, does anyone have anything else to say before I talk about the very ending of this movie? Because I have a big problem with it.
I was going to ask, did you enjoy Bugs Bunny's heroic sacrifice?
No, my problem is after his sacrifice. So Bugs Bunny dies because apparently there's some glitch in this game that if you perform like a signature LeBron move, it glitches you out and you die, and the character is deleted.
It's the most half-assed setup for a quote-unquote touching moment.
Right.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, so Bugs dies, I guess. He's Bugs Bunny, he's not gonna die. I thought what they were gonna do is that because his kid, like LeBron's kid, has like this big compiling software, whatever, he was gonna like basically reconstruct Bugs Bunny from a bunch of like old archived cartoons. Like, we have all this footage of you. We just compiled all of your characters and your voice, and we just remade you because you're a computer program.
Well, see,
Whatever.
JD, that would have required you to know how the Looney Tunes would work.
But
to
it's weird
on this
because
movie.
Instead, the route that they went with is that LeBron drops his kid off at game camp, and then he turns to the side, and Bugs is just there.
Bugs is just there in real life. Yeah, there's no explanation
given.
And he's just fine. Like, obviously they're not going to kill him off, but it's still like there's nothing. It's just, it shows him dying, and then he's just fine. He's like, "Oh no, I'm fine."
Yeah, it says like 1 week later. It's like, what the fuck was he doing for a week? Like,
it would have made more sense to me if he like got a phone call and it's Bugs on his phone calling him from the server, and I'm like, "Oh hey, by the way, I'm a cartoon. I can't actually die. So I'm alive. It's totally cool. I would accept that more than him just randomly showing up in the real world. And apparently everyone is just cool with it because during the credits, it's just the Looney Tunes interacting with real world things.
Yeah.
All the photographs. And at least Bill Murray shows up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's playing
I
golf.
sure hope that Pennywise doesn't get out.
He drops a line like, "Oh yeah, everybody's here too," or something like that.
Yeah.
He says the gang's all here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
some
can we stay
friends.
at your house or something like that?
Yeah. So it's like, I don't know what the implication is that can we bring these characters out of the server into the real world and like how?
Yeah,
Well, I guess it was easy enough to bring everyone from the real world into the server, like all the people on their phones and shit. So I guess really,
That part I also don't get. Like, I understand that their big space sphere in the basement can zap people into the computer. I do not believe that everyone's smartphone can do that.
Yeah.
You
I-
remember?
I- is-
It's almost like
Do-
this movie doesn't make sense.
The weird thing is, I remember reading press releases and all this kind of shit saying, "Oh yeah, this has nothing to do with the original Space Jam,"
Except
or
they
something like
make
it's like disregarded or something like that. But then they make a
Standalone
ton of
sequel.
references.
But not a direct
What's up?
sequel. It's a standalone sequel, but not a direct sequel.
But they make
weird.
a ton of references to what happened because
They make
they
a
all
ton of
know
references.
Jordan for one.
They make
Yeah.
a ton of references, but it also doesn't feel like it's the same at all because now Looney Tunes are just in this server verse. It's not like how it was in the first
Yeah.
one.
When they lived in the real world in the first place.
They lived underground or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I was talking about. I think I mentioned this before we started recording, is that like it brings up a lot of continuity errors that I should not be trying to apply to a children's movie. But yeah, like Kyle said, like they bring up the fact that the first Space Jam happened, but in the fucking Lola's Amazon scene, like Bugs is like, when do you ever get a chance to play with an NBA superstar? And Lola's like, we already did that.
You already did that.
Yeah, so it's like, did the original Space Jam happen in this world? Did it not? Like, you see the poster when they're giving the presentation towards the beginning of the movie of like, here's all of these things we own, basically. I mean, you can see the Space Jam poster in the background.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. Like, yeah, I'm thinking too hard about it.
Nothing
knew
about
this-
this movie works.
I knew this movie was gonna be shitty the moment they threw a fucking Game Boy away.
Yeah, but listen,
It wasn't even his Game
Smack
Boy.
that child.
It was his friend's Game Boy.
But listen, he was playing Bugs Bunny Crazy Castle.
He was.
No wonder he threw it away.
It made me think of the the Angry Video Game Nerd.
Should have played
Episode where he
Birthday
beats up Bugs
Blowout
Bunny.
instead.
Yeah.
Imagine that. Space Jam 3 is them teaming up with James Rolfe.
No, it's gonna be it's gonna be crossover with the what the fuck's the Nostalgia Critics? Channel Awesome.
Oh,
Oh,
God.
God, no.
No, thank you.
But
Yeah.
how much you want to bet there's going to be a Space Jam 3 within 5 years?
I heard just
Nothing.
today, I don't know how true this is because I didn't see the article on it, but someone said apparently they want to do a Space Jam 3 with Dwayne Johnson, which I think is already a step above this.
What the? Okay, listen. So, do you remember when Space Jam was in the original? It was called Space Jam because it fucking took place in space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now
can
they're in
kinda-
cyberspace.
I get that. I was thinking
Yeah.
like the hard drive space. Like, I guess that's how you recontextualize that. Like,
Could've
Dwayne
been
Johnson.
cyber.
Dwayne Johnson doesn't even fucking play basketball. What the fuck are they gonna?
I don't
would
think,
they do
I don't
for
think he's
that?
ever been in space.
Like, unless you turn that fucking movie into Wrestling Jam, and please do, because I will absolutely go see that movie.
It'll be like those fucking WWE Hanna-Barbera crossover movies.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Oh, God.
Yeah, they do a fucking big budget version of that. I don't care how shitty that is. I'll see that.
It should have just been called Cyberspace Jam, honestly. And
Yeah.
I fucking hate the villain's name because I am a pun connoisseur.
Algae
and that
Rhythm.
it just like, for one, it comes off as like grandma was using Instagram and like, why didn't I see your post? Why didn't I see your post? Oh, it's because the algorithm. The algorithm's bad. Oh, okay. I'll make a bad guy.
is.
if we're talking about senior citizens, I do want to bring up the fact that it just doesn't excuse every instance of this in this movie, but at least in Granny's defense, because she's old, have her say outdated memes. If it was just her doing that, that would have made sense. But like because they have other characters doing it, it completely ruins that. Like
She
that would've
leads
been
the
it,
match. She is the one.
She's so
oh,
cool.
for some reason she turned into like a Matrix character, like
Well,
for the
'cause she
whole
was
movie.
in the Matrix
Yeah, like,
earlier.
it's not like
glad-
it's not like Wily and Roadrunner are exhibiting Mad Max tendencies like later in the movie.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. The fact that when Wiley puts up a sign that says "Witness me" on it, I kind of laughed.
Just sprays his face with the chrome.
Sprays chrome into his mouth.
Actually,
I
so
mean,
one of
they
the
really-
things about this. Who is there's a third animated character in that specific segment. He's supposed to be stand-in
cowboy.
for Mad Max. It's
It's
just
the
like,
cowboy.
I'm like, okay,
If you
that's what I
look,
thought.
if you look at Robert Alvarez's posts, because there's a big controversy going on, because
Oh yeah,
or is it Dave? Is
Dave
it Dave
Alvarez.
Alvarez?
yeah.
Okay, he has concept artwork of that cowboy,
He
and
did.
it's just
He did production work on this movie, and they didn't credit him.
That's shitty.
yeah.
Yeah, if we needed another reason.
And apparently, I was reading Twitter earlier. He's not the only one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jeez,
Apparently, there's a
wouldn't
lot
doubt
of
it.
artists who did not get credit for this movie.
that's shit.
rough.
Fuck this movie.
They should have had the bad guy just be Al Gore, and then he could just be Al Gore.
Well,
With
hey,
them.
listen,
Al
and that
Gore
makes
rhythm.
sense because fucking Al Gore invented the internet.
Yeah,
It fucking
yeah.
does it all
Oh, it
there.
works.
See, that's a better pun than Al G.
It's all
Rhythm.
I love the idea of Al Gore challenging LeBron James to a basketball game.
I challenge you to a basketball game with the Looney Tunes.
I have ridden the mighty moonworm.
Good for him. I'm glad that Hoodwinked had enough leftover extreme granny jokes for this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And I
That
This
movie
was
came
one
out
thing
a
I
long
wanted-
time ago.
this was one thing I wanted to bring up too. So, like with Conker's Bad Fur Day and having a Matrix thing, it's become so intertwined in Conker's Bad Fur Day where it's all right, but seeing a Matrix bullet time reference like 30 years after the fact, it's
No,
still
but Kyle-
fucking cringe to me.
Kyle, Matrix 4 is supposed to come out by the end of the year.
Well, okay, and so that's actually what I was going to say is that realistically, Matrix 4 should have been out before this movie, but the production on that, because of COVID, got pushed
Yeah.
back. It's still, even if you take that in consideration, to make references to the first movie like that when the Matrix parodies got played out only like, a year or a couple of years after that came out, still, it's like,
Yeah.
and really that goes for any of the other movies too, fucking doing Austin Powers references, or doing fucking, like, but even then, like, I did still think that those segments of the movie were entertaining. If it was just an entire movie of them fucking around with, like, other movies, like doing parodies and stuff on that, I think that would have been better than just like trying to shoehorn like all the Space Jam stuff into it.
Yeah.
Seems like something that would work better as a short than a fucking whole movie.
Oh well,
Yeah.
yeah, admittedly, yeah, but I mean it would be something closer to like scope as from what I've seen of Back in Action.
Mhm. I love Back in Action. I'll sing that movie's praises. It's not amazing. It's not flawless, but it's a lot better than this. I was talking to a friend about this movie, and I was talking to them. I was like, so all the Looney Tunes feel wrong, and I don't know what it is. And he put it in a way that made it all click to me is they're not saying things that they would say. They're just saying like typical funny humor movie lines. Like Daffy, I think, is the big example. Daffy doesn't say anything in this movie that makes Daffy could have been replaced with anyone else. He says stuff like, in the game, he says, well, that happened. And when they turn CG, he says, I look expensive. And then there's one part near the end of the game, he says, I think my money's on the other team. And it's like, yeah, those are real Daffy lines. That sums up exactly how I feel about like every Looney Tune character in this, except for maybe Bugs, who's there for like most of it anyway. Even Lola sucks in the first Space Jam, but she's a lot better there than she is in this one. She's not any sort of character in
And
this.
I felt it's so weird that they tried to pump up like, oh, Zendaya is voicing Lola, and I'm like, had you not told me, I wouldn't have known anyway. I don't know what the fuck
Yeah,
Zendaya sounds
Apparently,
That was a big
Apparently,
controversy too.
yeah. Apparently, Kath Soucie had recorded like all of Lola's dialogue for this movie, and then they replaced her with this
Zendaya.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, what's Kath Soucie doing? I mean, she's still working.
Rugrats. She's busy doing
Look,
Rugrats.
They needed fucking more names for the poster, I guess. But to
Yeah.
Zendaya's credit, I do think she does a pretty good job doing voice work. At least in this movie.
I don't think she does a bad job, but I didn't like get anything out of her performance. I don't.
Yeah,
think,
I
didn't
oh,
either.
Now that's low.
I'm just saying, when you typically get celebrity voice actors for movies just for having their name on the poster, like typically they give like a very flat performance.
That's the thing with this though. The big controversy is that fuck, I don't even know.
Well, they
his
replaced
name,
an
even
actual
though we
voice
met him.
actor.
Well, me and Dustin met him. I can't even remember his name.
Eric
but,
Bauza.
yeah, that guy. They're just saying like they're not crediting voice actors like him. They'll just be like, "Oh, it's Bugs Bunny as himself."
Well,
But
in the
they don't
credits for
credit
this
him.
movie, they do credit the voice actors in the end of the credits.
Even
But mostly,
like,
it's the marketing though.
yeah,
They don't say
exactly.
like it's this guy,
Mhm.
and then Zendaya and I didn't even hear Gabriel Iglesias being like
I did-
really.
yeah,
No,
I
that's
had
what I
no
was mentioning
idea.
earlier. I saw him in the credits, like his name in
Yeah.
the credits. I was like, why the fuck didn't he get like he's a big comedian? Like,
Mhm.
Yeah, he didn't get
He
any
doesn't-
billing almost.
yeah,
Yeah.
he doesn't have that voice actor stink on him. They can put him on a poster, right? Like,
Yeah,
I hate to go back to Notorious P.I.G., but it felt so. Sometimes you'll get like a rap scene and it's like supposed to be stupid and lame. Like, look at the DK rap. This does not, to me,
No.
feel self-aware. This feels like them saying, "Yeah, the Looney Tunes are rapping. Isn't that cool, kids?" And then it's like, no, it's
I
not.
feel like
yeah.
I feel like they named him, or at least gave his last name Rhythm, so they could make the line in the rap. Like that was the only reason why they
I
Yeah.
could
made
see
his last
that.
name Rhythm.
I could see that.
Yeah.
I could sing what's the opposite of singing the praises about something?
The singing the
First scene.
Singing the dispraises
yeah.
of this movie all day. There's just so much wrong with it, so much that I hate. But even though I was kind of ragging on the animation earlier, I do think those scenes are the best parts because it at least tricks you into thinking it feels like Looney Tunes. It doesn't. The characters do not say things the Looney Tunes would say. It sucks. But I'm still there watching it like, this is Looney Tunes-esque. I like it more than the rest, at least.
It's Looney Tunes adjacent.
Yeah, it's,
Yeah.
They were just tunes at that point. There wasn't really anything loony about them.
Oh, here's
Yeah.
another thing. Here's another thing someone brought up on Twitter. So, you know how a good chunk of this movie, LeBron James is saying, like, that's not real basketball when he's talking about, like, the video game basketball or, like, the Looney Tunes. He tells the Looney Tunes,
Yeah.
no being loony. So he's one for playing real basketball. But when they're putting a team together, his go-to choices are Superman and the Iron Giant.
Right.
I
Yeah.
don't. This movie is very inconsistent with everything.
I don't know. I do like the idea of him rounding up like those characters and forcing them to play legit basketball though.
Look, I didn't get you for your heat vision or your super.
I got you because
flying.
your fundamentals are good.
Yeah,
You
if
were
you
I
could
just
Mason
want to try to
Jones.
see
I'm gonna
him
need
put
you to
the
play
Iron
real
Giant on the
basketball.
court.
Yeah, Iron Giant would take up the whole court. He would just win. He could step on the other team.
He'd dunk all day.
And they
Um,
already fucked him up with Ready Player One. Just have him kill them all anyway.
I feel like this movie existing as stuff like, well, I don't know. When did, I guess if this movie was already announced in 2014, because I mean, yeah, Ready Player One fucking like bombed, right? And like that was a whole nother movie of Warner Brothers trying to flex like, oh, look at all this shit we own.
Oh, did
Or
it
can
bomb? I guess
license
I never
out.
really. I guess I never really looked into how well it did.
I didn't either, but I mean, the general consensus was that it was at least received very poorly.
Yeah.
So I
Well,
don't know. It's just them. It seems like this is like
I-
take two, basically.
At least in Ready Player One's defense, I read that book and like they did like that book is like chock full of reference. It is reference the book
I know I've read passages from the book, and it's fucking bad there too.
But Warner Brothers tried to adapt it as close as they could with the properties that they had, so at least in there it made sense.
Right.
But yeah, in this one, like it's just I saw someone explain it. It is a pitch for HBO Max. Look at all the things we own.
One thing I was laughing was they took the scene where the train was going to crash into the orphanage. And it was just that scene that they recorded.
Yeah.
And I guess they couldn't afford child actors or anything, so it's just like canned children noises. And it just sounds so fucking awful, and like, I don't know. You guys will have to watch that scene again. It's really bad.
Oh,
Wait, in the DC part, you mean?
Yeah.
Right. So like it's all the children cheering. Yeah, that's just fucking sound effect. You know what? That made me think, because that's the same exact sound effect they play whenever Dendy shows up on OKKO. I think. That literally just made me think. They didn't have any Cartoon Network characters, did they?
No,
It's
and
just,
they could have.
Teen
They
Titans
had
Go.
Rick and Morty.
Yeah,
They just
weird.
had a Teen Titans Go poster. That was all the.
Yeah, but even then, that's DC. That's not like in-house at Cartoon Network. They didn't have any like Steven or Adventure Time or anything in there.
Or even like cartoons like era shit. They literally just like Hanna-Barbera, Looney Tunes, and then like a couple like newer age ones like Rick and Morty and Teen Titans Go. But then like they skipped an entire like time frame of like cartoons that they could have absolutely put in.
Yeah.
Super weird.
I don't know, man. So
how about that scene where they just reused the animation of the Nerdlux from the first Space Jam?
Yeah.
No, that's we were talking about that earlier, because we were saying that it didn't
Did we
make any
already
sense.
mention that?
Unless we mentioned that before we recorded.
I thought it might have been before the show, but
Maybe.
yeah, they just reused animation of the Nerdlux, and like that already feels extremely lazy, because they not only do they clash with the other 2D parts in this movie, but this is during a part when everyone else in the audience is live action and CGI. So
they're the only 2D characters.
Yeah, and
it's literally just put there to be like, hey, remember the first
remember
movie?
this? Definitely not an afterthought.
A lot of this movie is, hey, remember this?
Yeah.
Saying this movie was an afterthought.
Oh, God. So, I think all in all, this movie has a lot of problems. I think if you're a fan of the original Space Jam, this is not the proper sequel you were probably hoping for. I still maintain that I had fun with it. I enjoyed myself watching it. I got a handful of laughs out of it.
I think it's good for the kids, and that's who it's probably intended
for.
Anyway.
I wonder if I enjoy this because I saw it with a bunch of children.
For the children.
I feel like children deserve movies that work, though. I feel like children deserve movies that aren't riddled with problems.
Children are stupid.
That's true.
Okay, you guys didn't have to see this in the theater, so you didn't see the fucking Paw Patrol movie trailer in front of this and how much they flipped their shit over it.
Oh, what other trailers did you get? Because I didn't see this in theaters. The rest of us didn't. What trailers did you get? It's been so long since I've been in theaters.
Let's see. There's the Paw Patrol one. There was the teaser trailer for the League of Super Pets that's coming out. There was trailers for both the upcoming Marvel movies, and there was oh my God, there was a fucking trailer for a documentary about Christian Rock.
Oh,
and it's called Jesus Music.
Oh boy.
Wow, they're really playing to their audience there.
Oh, it's like, I cringe so fucking hard.
No, it's good.
It just reminds me how fucking big the market for Christian movies are.
I don't get it myself.
I don't either, but I'm a godless heathen. So
why wasn't Jesus in Space Jam 2? Then LeBron could have just won automatically.
Warner Brothers doesn't own Jesus.
I was about to say, don't give me any ideas. I'm sure they'll own the rights to Jesus by the time Space Jam 3 rolls out.
Not if Disney gets to him first.
I don't think Warner Bros. Made Passion of the Christ.
Everyone would get mad at Jesus, and he would be like, "Geez, crucify a guy, would you?"
Now we got a movie.
All right. Well, do you gentlemen have anything else you want to mention before we wrap up?
God. I think
feel
there's
like this
still
is one of
stuff that we
those-
could mention, but
I feel like I have so many more thoughts in my head that are just like spiraling around into a soup that I can't decipher.
it's hard to filter it all.
Join
Yeah.
us for the Space Jam 2 Part 2 conversation.
And another thing.
I got a few more words. I'm not letting Space Jam off easy.
All right. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed this review. I hope some of you out there enjoyed this movie, and if you did, please tell us why. I don't know. There are some good things in this, but there's a lot of like missteps.
You gotta wade through a lot of shit to get to the gold.
Yeah. But yeah, that's gonna do it for us this week. Everybody, thank you for listening. Stay safe out there, and we'll catch you next time.
Later.
Hey.
Well, that just happened.
Thanks for listening. You can find all the links to our social media pages in the episode description. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter and join our Discord. You can listen to us wherever you get your podcasts. The Ink and Paint Club is happy to be part of the Geekly Grind Podcast Network. We'll see you next time.